What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm going to show you guys how to get gold on Grimrail Depot Challenge Mode. Now, you can do this one of two ways at the beginning, but if you don't have a DK, the best way of doing it is invising all the way to the first boss, and you want to actually pull one Overseer. This is a tough jump here, as you saw there. You have to jump in between where the Iron Star is, and so it's kind of a tricky one. You might want to practice that before you're actually doing the actual pull. And as soon as you get over here, you want to pull one Overseer and skip all the rest of them. The reason that you want to pull one Overseer is that it's just for the mob count, and if you don't do that, we had that happen, and then we had like 35 out of 36 enemies whenever we killed the last boss and nobody noticed, and so that really sucked. And so anyway, for this boss, it's really kind of easy to do. The best thing that you should be doing here is just focusing on Borka for most of the time until Rocket Spark actually goes into his missile barrage phase, and whenever Borka knocks him down from the Mad Charge, or Mad Dash, or whatever it is, he'll take double damage, and so everybody should switch over to Rocket Spark at that point. But until then, I wouldn't really recommend attacking him hardly at all. Here's where you should use your first heroism, and I think that we're like late on it or something like that. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Yeah. And so that was kind of shitty, but you should do it as soon as possible because he's only taking double damage for a very small period of time. The Overseer, you can just cleave him down. He doesn't really do all that much damage. If you're going to get killed because of the damage that the Overseer is doing to your tank, you're probably not going to get gold to begin with, and so I wouldn't really worry about that too much. You can cleave him down quicker, but for the most part, you just want to kill him on your own time, really. And so these two guys have to die together. This is the same as Heroic, but I thought I might mention it because it's more important in challenge mode. The most important, or the best way to do this, is to kill Borka first, and the reason for that is that if you kill Rocket Spark first, Borka just goes fucking crazy, and he'll hit your tank for like 100,000 damage every I don't know, like 2 times a second or something like that. And so it's really kind of hard to handle Borka after he's enraged, because if you guys don't know, if you kill one of them, the other one gains like a very large buff to their damage, and Borka gains like a much bigger buff than Rocket Spark does, and so it's best to kill Rocket Spark. Kill Borka first and then kill Rocket Spark last. And so anyway, another thing is you want to make sure that if you're melee, you don't get too close to Borka whenever he does the Mad Dash, because whenever he charges there, it does like 150k damage, and it's actually hit me a couple times, and so those are pretty bad mistakes. And I think that we're going to have, yeah, see, there's Borka enraged right there, and he just killed our tank. And so this run was not like the smoothest as it could be. We had about, I think, like 2 or 3 fuck-ups in this run, and I think we beat the timer by 30 seconds. I'm not entirely sure. So it was an okay run, but again, we're using a warrior tank. Warrior tanks are not very good at all, and also melee. It's like actually arms warriors are okay, but they're definitely not the best. And I think paladins, paladins aren't disc priests. I think disc priests can do damage. But either way, the point is, whenever you kill Borka, you want to pull this next pack. You can pull the Bombardiers one at a time, but that's really going to slow you down. The best way of doing it is to either pull 2 Bombardiers, or what we do is we pull the first Bombardier and then we pull the next 2. And the reason for that is that just for mana, because our healer is going to be still drinking from after the first boss. And so if we pull the 2 Bombardiers right there at the beginning, the healer is going to have to struggle to catch up. But if it's only one at a time, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. And in terms of this, after you kill the first one, then you're going to be where we're at right now, and you're going to be killing the other 2. They put a stacking debuff on your tank and also a bleed. You can bop this off, but the best thing to do is mostly just cool down through it. And you can pull the next one, you can chain them together, and a good way to chain them together is to make sure that as soon as your debuff drops, then you pull the next one. As soon as you get here, you should use like a Heroic Leap or something like that to start the cinematic, and the cinematic will start you into the little like gauntlet area. Now this is another place where people invis, and I'll mention that in a few minutes whenever we actually get up there. But the gunners are pretty much, those should be your main targets, because they do a frontal cone flamethrower thing, and it's really deadly for melee because sometimes you're like, there's a lot of shit going on, and you might get hit by it. It doesn't really do all that much damage until it gets over 2 stacks, and so you don't really need to worry about it too much. What we did here is we focused down the gunner, and then we went and we pulled the rest of them. Now, here was the second fuck up that we had, where I thought that we were going to only pull 2 packs, but instead we pulled 3. And so they pulled them out of my Ravager, and then I got aggro, and so it was like a whole bunch of trouble here, and I lost a lot of damage. Like, I could have done probably twice as much damage as I did there. And so the best way to do this is probably to just pull with 2 packs, But if you don't, if you think that you can handle it, you can pull all 3 packs in this room. The main things that you really need to watch out for are the Hulk. You want to focus down the Hulk as soon as possible. Not really as soon as possible, but quickly. You can purge off his like enrage or something like that. I'm pretty sure you can. That's what our hunter's doing. He's trank shotting it off, and so that makes it a lot easier for us to pretty much like lower the damage on the tank. Also, the boomers and the grenadiers, they pretty much do different stuff. And what it really comes down to is that you're not supposed to stand on any of the stuff that they're doing. And so anyway, after you kill these 2, you're going to go into the next room. This is the room that usually most people invis through, but for us, we invis through the first pack just because we didn't have as much control as we would want to have for the engineers in the first room. And so if you do have a lot of control, like a Death Knight or something like that, you could invis through this room, or you can invis through the first one. It's kind of up to you. The main thing that you really want to pay attention to is just your mob count if you invis through the second room, because I'm not sure exactly how many mobs you're skipping here compared to the first room. But either way, as I said before, the gunners are the most deadly thing, and also the other thing that you want to watch out for are the Cinder Seers. Now the Cinder Seers do something called Flame Tongue. Flame Tongue puts a debuff on the ground, and basically if you stand in the debuff, you take damage, and it sections off the room. And so if you stun them while they're casting Flame Tongue, as you can see there, we messed it up, and we didn't get a stun off. And so if you do get a stun off, they will not cast Flame Tongue. As you can see, there's fire in the back. I don't know why they cast it so far back. But either way, oh yeah, see, here's our third fuck up here, is we pulled all 3 packs, and we were not really ready for that in terms of cooldowns and everything else. And so that was kind of frustrating, but either way, the main thing to watch out for here is just to make sure that you're not standing in the fire. Now, as you can see, like as a melee, this is really, really difficult to do. It's not really difficult, but it's hard on your healer if you're going to actually try and focus on doing damage, because they can put that fire shit anywhere. And so it becomes more and more of an issue in like small like pathways here. But other than this pull here, melee are not really too fucked. Oh, and here's fuck up number 4 is our tank dies. And so that kind of sucks, but we're going to run back and we're going to kite all the way back. And so in a pull like this, like you don't always wipe just because your tank dies. You can kite backwards because all of these mobs are slowable and stunnable, and have your range kite them all the way back to the beginning of the, what is this, of the train. And then you can just pretty much do it after that. It's, again, not that big of a deal. You just have to make sure that you have everything coordinated and all the other stuff. And again, I want to reiterate, because it's very important, do not stand in front of the gunners or they will kill you. Like, that's really all it comes down to. The first boss, or sorry, the second boss here, Nighthawk Thunder Tower, this is where you can either spend a lot of time or save a lot of time. And so hopefully you want to save a lot of time. And so the main thing, like with the first pull here, or the first like I don't know, like phase, he doesn't really do anything. He faces in a random direction, and you just don't want to be standing in that random direction. Also, you don't want to be stacked up, because he throws a grenade on the ground and it knocks you up in the air and it interrupts casting. Whenever he hits about 50%, he's going to go ahead and jump to his cannon, and this is where the actual fight starts. Now, there's a very choreographed way that this happens, and so I'm going to kind of explain this to the best of my ability here. And so the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to summon a shrapnel guy. I'm trying to remember, a gunner and a boomer. Okay, and the gunners have a, they do the shrapnel blast. They give you one of those whenever they die. You can get in the cannon, and it's the same as heroic. And so you get in the cannon, they give you the heroic. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. They give you the shrapnel thing, and then you can use that on the other mobs, and you can also use it on the boss. And so the best thing to do is to use, as soon as you get the shrapnel, to only use the shrapnel on the actual elite mobs. The iron infantry should just be considered as just like trash mobs. Don't even think about it. And so I'm standing right here on the cannon, and after this there's going to be a grenadier. And so the grenadiers are also, you can use the grenadiers attacks on the boss also. But the main thing you really want to focus on with the grenadiers is just killing them and saving bombs for the boss. You can pretty much kill all of the adds, especially with correct positioning. You can kill pretty much all of the adds with the shrapnel and not really have to worry about anything else. Your range should be focusing on the assault cannon, and the reason for that is so that people can just keep damaging him down and hopefully get enough to where you can skip one of the, because the boomers, if you guys didn't know, the boomers, they're the ones that actually give you the big like mortar shells that hit the cannon. They do like 1,000,000 damage to the cannon, and so if you can damage down the boss enough, it saves like basically one mortar shell that you have to use. And so you want to use the mortar shells as soon as you can, and also make sure that as soon as you're going to actually start the boss, that you have people positioned and ready to use the shrapnel on him, because actually killing the boss should be the fastest thing in this instance. Like, this should be as I said before, this should be where you save a lot of time, but if you don't have everything coordinated, this should be where you spend a lot of time. And so these last two gunners, these are going to be pretty much how you're going to kill the boss. And so you have one person click each one of them and get in the cannons and then just take him right in front of it and watch how much damage I'm doing. Like with this cannon here, like I'm just doing ridiculous fucking damage. And also, like, we didn't even have the other cannon because people were too slow. And so we could have killed him even like maybe 5 to 10 seconds faster if we had everything coordinated and ready. But either way, as soon as you get up to here, do not go. And the reason for that, he's going to put fire down on both sides and you have to wait for it, okay? If you have some kind of like weird like way to get around it, good luck, but my best advice is just wait, and you always go left because left is the one that he doesn't hit after that. Or I don't know, the train doesn't set on fire, because it always goes right, left, right. And so you want to go left as soon as both of the sides are done being on fire. Now this pull is actually the hardest pull in the instance here. You have to pull everything in this room. Now you can damage down one Farseer and get him kind of low. We were trying that, but the reason we didn't do that is because we just didn't really have enough time. Like as I said, we had 30 seconds left, and so that's a good amount, but it wasn't as much as we would want to have to be comfortable to kind of take things slow. The main things that you want to watch out for here is avoiding the Arcane Blitz, which is the scout cast that. You just don't stand in it. Also avoiding the Thunder Zones that are cast by the Farseers and interrupting Storm Shield, and so you should have range doing that. Another thing is interrupting or not standing on top of the captain, because the captain does Reckless Strike. Reckless Strike is very simple. It just hits a area around her, and then if you're standing in that area around her, you take damage, and if you're not standing in the area around her, you don't take damage. And so it's very, very easy to avoid, but it is kind of annoying, again, as melee. Like for melee, there are a couple of mechanics in this instance that are kind of hard, but the Scout can be pretty annoying. Like, I'd say the Scout is probably the worst of all of them because of just the Arcane Blitz and how much damage that does and how much of the room it sections off, and that combined with all the Thunder Zones and everything else, it can be quite a bit of a pain in the ass. And so usually you'll have the captain left for last because it just has the most health, and so if you're AoEing everything down, that's just the way it's going to go. But with any other large AoE pull, you should be rotating stuns and everything else. And right here, you want to pre-pop for this boss. Whenever she's walking towards you from her Rylak, that's whenever she actually gets out of combat, and so, or she actually begins combat, and just make sure you pre-pop then. This should be whenever you use your second heroism. Use it as soon as you pull, and the reason for that is that the longer that you're in the fight, the more the Rylak, the more of the room that the Rylak covers with its electric breath. And so, again, there's only about 3 or 4 abilities that this boss does. And so, the main ability that she does is she puts like a freezing trap down. The freezing trap does pretty much no damage, but if it does root you, it becomes an issue whenever the Rylak puts down the electricity, because the electricity puts a stacking debuff on you, and it makes you take more damage. It actually just does more damage, and basically it makes you take more damage. And she also points in a specific direction, and she will cast, she'll basically throw a spear in a certain direction, and if she hits you, it does like 100,000 damage. And on top of that, yeah, here it is right here. Here's the spinning spear. And so if you get hit by that, it does like 100,000 damage, and it stuns you for 2 seconds, and so you lose damage. You really, really do not want to get hit by that. Also, if you get hit by one of the freezing traps, what's going to happen is it's going to root the people around you also. And so you want to make sure that you're definitely not there. But other than that, this boss is pretty simple. Again, you just want to make sure you're spread out so you don't get hit by the electric stuff. And I know she does like a hunter's mark on a random person in a group in heroic. I don't know, maybe she doesn't do that in challenge mode. I'm not really sure, but we never really had that happen. Either way, if you do get a hunter's mark on you, just make sure you're not standing next to anybody else. But it seems like that doesn't really happen in challenge mode. The main thing you really have to worry about is just making sure that you're not standing in the lightning and not hitting the frost traps. As you can see here, like there's like shit everywhere, and so, guys, that's really all it takes. You just have to make sure that you can basically make those AoE pulls go as fast as possible and chain them together if you can with a good tank and good CC. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all it takes for Grimrail Depot challenge mode goal. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.